said it confidently too. So
but that's what he's like.
He might have done
If
it
he's-
the year before.
the more confident he is,
Next finger.
he starts believing his own shit. He's fucking unbelievable.
Welcome to Preseason, a podcast focused on profiling everything on and off the field across the Sunshine Coast A-grade competition heading into the 2024 season. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Local Property Group, your trusted real estate experts spanning from Caboolture to Noosa.
that was 2019?
Yeah.
19, okay. And then obviously 2020 again, right? You went around again 2020?
20 and then COVID. So
Yep.
started doing a hell of a lot of boxing again. I've done boxing ever since I was a kid, but started ripping in, and then 21, bang, upper body injury my whole career. Go back to Nambour, have some fun, tore my pec. And then the year after, tore my bicep just last year. So
On the quick one, was that boxing?
it was boxing, mate. So me and Darren Shonick
Fucking hell.
were just belting each other. We used to go every Saturday just into Shamrock in Maroochydore.
Sure, yeah.
And so you know Darren Shonick at all. You boys would probably definitely know he's played a bit NRL, and he's just a brick. So we go in with him on Saturdays, and it's 150% or it's nothing with him. So like you're sparring, but you're getting your head taken off if you're not fighting. So we fight basically. It's not so big. Sammy Burnstrom used to come down and it used to be just try and get people down just to rip in and train. But you spar big days, and you'd have to be on.
He's a
You're
fucking
on.
Or you
big
get
boy
knocked
too,
out.
eh?
If you're not on, you get knocked out. And so we're throwing bombs at each other, and just sort of sparked the chest a little bit. 6 weeks later, trial against Leandra, and went like a flat tire, bang, and it was definitely done boxing. I was hanging on by a thread, I reckon.
So 21, 22, purely playing, right?
Yeah.
No coaching.
No coaching.
I
Helped coach my kids' team.
Okay.
So
let's let's
How old's he?
so 10s.
Oh, right, I
this
saw
this
it.
year. So he was
150% or nothing at all, boys.
Get big diesel in there helping out the boxer.
I'm telling you, they teach you a lot coaching kids because you got to keep them engaged the whole time.
Yeah.
And I just love their competitiveness too, and their but I reckon every coach should coach kids teams because you learn a lot of patience as well. But you got to keep people engaged. And I reckon sometimes they engage better than the bloody A-grade boys, but
Mate, I helped out with my young fella's sevens this year, and I was like picking kids up. And you've got to go there. And then I'd see a little break at me because you're watching the play, and I'm behind him going, run, cover tackle quick, and I'm like pushing them. Mate, it's
great fun.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You just
I don't think I've got the
You must
level
look
of
like a goose on the field as the coach trying to fucking.
it's bloody chaos.
Yeah.
But it's just good fun.
Well, let's park the 10s for a moment. Obviously, as thrill as those coaching stories might be. Let's go back. Obviously, we've heard the story from the journey, of course, as a player. So I'm curious to know, and I'm always curious about this from a playing perspective or a player's perspective, I apologise, about the ambitions of potentially going into coaching after their career. Obviously, DK talks a fair bit about it, about his ambitions to coach after his time's done in playing. Firstly, before I touch on the coaching element, were you always a leader in all the teams you played in? I mean, did you sort of look for the captaincy, or were you just a natural leader through those times? What was your leadership sort of contributions during that?
So I've always definitely had that leadership role in every football team I've been involved in. Pretty much always, pushed myself to get the best out of myself, but also lead the boys around and find a way to strive to get the best out of them. It just comes natural to me. But I probably like to lead by example a hell of a lot as well. I think it was definitely something that I always wanted to do was coaching. I probably didn't think I'd be this early in the piece, but it's certainly something that comes natural to me, mate. Yeah.
Did you expect to play longer?
Oh, I think
you are playing this year, is that right?
I'm still playing.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. I thought you said, right.
So I'm going to play.
I thought based off the last 2 years you were just done.
No, I reckon.
Okay, right.
I should be. My missus definitely wants me finished with that. But certainly, I still just am too competitive, mate.
Yeah.
So I'm still a bit too itchy to finish on that note.
Good, mate.
I want
more older blokes, the better.
Yeah, I want to definitely have a good year playing as well and just feel good. And I don't know
if fucking Jason Wardrop's playing, mate, you can keep going.
He's a couple of years older than me, so
and he's fit still too. I'd imagine,
mate, really fit.
Did you have surgery on the pec or the bicep?
Both of them, yeah.
Oh fuck, man.
Dr. Laurie, Steve Laurie, got me straight in.
So how many games did you get over those 2 years?
What?
I don't think
games played 4 games this year. And then last year, and then the year before, played the trial, and that was it.
Oh, so you didn't get a single actual game in the year before?
In 21.
How'd the bicep feel last year? Did you feel it go?
Just
shoot up or
come out of a scrum and probably doing my job, just pushing hard on the half, trying to put pressure on him. And he stepped back into the scrum for some psycho reason. And I'm thinking, what's he doing? I'm going to tee off on him here.
I can see this already.
Seen red and just swung the arm into him and then just missed him and caught his jersey because I'm still trying to make sure he doesn't beat me on the inside. And it's just popped it, just felt it go straight away. And I defended the set out and I'm like, nah, it's done. You can feel it just when you do a ligament, you know.
I can see you doing it. As soon as you see you step back in, you can see it happen. You see it on NRL and shit all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, okay. So coming back to the coaching thing, so yeah, obviously you always saw the coaching as an avenue.
Yeah, mate. I didn't think it would be this early, like I said. Yeah. So, we're probably in the hunt for a new coach this year, no matter what. Back in the last year, the club made it known that was what they were going to do. I tried hard to get a coach. I tried real hard and fought a lot of people.
Maybe the committee was against you. Maybe they had you earmarked from the start.
Maybe.
Just planting landmines everywhere.
Well, Danny Gray was saying the phone was ringing a bit.
I was into him and I said, no worries, Danny, I'll see you in November, mate. Just kept saying it to him every time I spoke to him. But
no.
But he was pretty clear from the start he wasn't going to. But I said, can you help me sort of find someone? I got into a fella named Jamie Vogler. He coached at the Malmaninga for a couple of years and then he coached into the Colts system. Found out that he wasn't coaching again this year and I thought I'll have a shot at him. He said he wouldn't be able to commit to the coaching role full time and I said, well, I'll do it. You just be the assistant. Would you be part of that? And he said, yeah.
Brilliant.
So he's a really good coach, really clever. Obviously been in the Falcon system for a long time himself and coming out of the Colts system, Jamie Vogler on board's just a great asset to the football team. I probably, so he was the last person I approached to go into the role. There's a few other people, but I just got to a point where I probably thought I want to win football games. I want to make sure that we got the best chance at winning next year. If I'm a coach that is outside of the football club or outside the circle that I was in, I probably wouldn't have come to Nambour either. I've got nothing to lose probably coaching Nambour.
Interesting. Yeah.
But why would you bring yourself into a position where, we've probably got the wooden spoon for the last 3 years in a row and the worst for and against by far, 100% being competitive all the time because that's just the Nambour way. You still put your body on the line, you still rip in, but we still probably didn't have the record the last couple of years. And I think that was a contributor to probably why we couldn't attract a coach there that easily. But I just felt like that if I put my hand up for the role, I knew I could get the assistants around me. One thing that probably motivated me pretty heavily is with my little brother, we're getting diagnosed with motor neuron disease this year. So that was one thing that probably pushed me into thinking, well, fucking why not? Why don't why am I going to wait to do something that I want to do anyway? And I wouldn't take something on if I didn't know that I couldn't be ready for it anyway. I'd probably find a way, to be successful or to make it work. And later down the track, I'll be realistic about it. I knew that I'd get the assistance that I wanted, and I knew that I'd get the people put their hand up to help me do and make the transition easy.
Mate, let's dive into that because there's a lot we can rip into. I know we're already up to 50 minutes, but
this is gonna go long. Really,
yeah, no. I'm
assuming you're knocked off
today.
I'll be right, mate. I'm always working. So
we've got plenty of beers in the fridge.
Oh, fucking right. Keep them flowing because this is probably where I wanted to get to as well. I'm glad we got through the journey side of it because I think that's interesting for everyone. But let's touch on 2023 for a moment. Obviously, a disappointing season for the club. You are disappointing personally, of course, as well. You would have been pretty disappointed with how things turned out. So the transition, when did all of this come about? straight after the season was done? Were conversations been had before the season was done, 2023?
No, the club was backing the current coach at the time, so they.
Sorry, surely it wasn't happening 7 games in.
No,
He's won 7 in a row.
Mate,
They were flying.
We were flying. So we had a really, really good group like at the start of the year, but again, we probably didn't have enough depth.
Yep.
I think that we were pretty unlucky, like with myself getting injured, but the allocations we had from the Falcons, as we always seem to get, was just so unlucky.
Yeah.
Like myself being at the Falcons for the last 10 years has probably been a hindrance to Nambour because I'm allocated to Nambour and, I was playing a fair bit of cup. So
I think Biwa gets Patrice.
Yeah.
The captain of the Falcons.
So we got Denny Heenan and and he came back from injury and he played a couple of games for us. And Max Bailey. So we just weren't seeing him. We weren't going to see him all year,
2 of their best all year for the Falcons. Cheers for that.
Yeah. So they're probably unlucky there, but certainly, Nate Samalu getting injured the way he did, he done his shoulder pretty early. So you boys were talking about his finger, and I'm not sure where that come from.
Damo.
I think Damo.
But he thinks he knows it all.
He said it confidently too. So
but that's what he's like.
He might have done his finger the year before.
The more confident he is,
his finger.
he starts believing his own shit. He's fucking unbelievable. He's our labourer at work. He has had every job under the sun, and he's 25. I'm telling you, mate. And 3 apprentices. Apprenticeships.
Oh, thanks for correcting that, though.
Yeah, so he's done his shoulder, and I'm sure he'd be filthy about that too. Fucking finger. Fucking wouldn't stop me from playing. So he was a big loss for the team. Bloody Jack Beatson done his MCL pretty early and then ended up breaking his cheekbone when he come back, and myself with my bicep, and then those couple of Falcons boys. Not that you ever plan to rely on Falcons players, you just don't. It's just not the way you go out each week. But certainly that was a big kick to us early in the year as well. But from there we probably just didn't have. I reckon we surprised teams early in the year.
How was your depth though? How was your depth pre-season 2023?
No, I just don't. That's what we didn't have enough.
Yeah, gotcha. So you knew. So you were relying on no injuries.
No injuries,
basically.
Would have been really helpful.
I reckon the surprise factor was a big thing because every club was looking. Fuck, who's Nambour got?
Yeah.
Like this is crazy. Obviously Nate was good, and you were good. Like obviously the first couple of games, and then injuries crept
and we had a lot of really like our blokes in that squad. They probably had a couple of years in A grade where they'd been bashed around a fair bit, so they were ready to have a good year, and they were turned up, which is why I'm so excited about this year coming. But certainly, that depth probably hurt us a fair bit last year, and then we got to round 7. Biwa absolutely destroyed us off the park, and then we were still looking like we could have been in the President's Cup, and everyone, we had another couple of injuries. I remember just thinking, geez, I hope we don't win against Maroochydore because Biwa is just going to turn us.
Oh, you wouldn't want to.
We
risk the injuries as well.
Like I said, I think
and risk more injuries,
Yeah.
And that's because everyone
when we played at Nambour,
boycotted. Yeah. Boycott the President's Cup.
When we played at Nambour, we just played Kiwana the week before, and we were like, fuck, why are we doing this? We don't want to be here either. But that
was a good game.
That game against Nambour, that was, mate, we were so up for that because we'd seen they hadn't lost either. So it was 2 teams. It was the President's Cup before the President's Cup.
Pretty much.
It was ready to go.
So the wheels probably started falling off around that point. And just too difficult to recoup then, was it?
Yeah, it was just too difficult to recoup. I think we won 1 out of 12 after that or something.
Fuck. Yeah.
Something, but I think that the year was really invaluable for the boys to probably have a bit more experience on board.
What role did you play after the bicep happened? What role did you play after that?
So I'd still get to train and run water, but I probably didn't get as involved because I think, to be honest, being a bit older now wasn't fair to my family to keep getting down there. I thought it was an opportunity, being injured, to probably spend a bit more time with her family last year. But I did get down a hell of a lot and in the boys' ears and regularly in their ears, trying to keep them motivated and sending clips and things like that of where they can be sharper or smarter and a bit more game awareness for sure.
So go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's it.
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately for blokes listening on and looking on, especially Nambour, because we've whether they like it or not, we've probably been a bit of a basher of Nambour on the podcast.
We were at their first 7 games, which I can't.
Yeah. But outside that, we've probably been a bit of a basher. And I guess there's probably a bit of guilt floating around on my side now because it sounds as though it was never I always looked at this, and I challenged Cleandra on this as well. I always look at it, and we're blessed at the moment, BURB in the position we're in at the moment. But, glass house is right. But, I mean, ultimately, I always looked at Nambour as probably more of a cultural thing. It sounds as though it's not a cultural thing. It sounds as though you just didn't have the depth there, the numbers, the injuries just kept creeping up on you.
I think this year, but I think Nambour the last sort of 5 years has been a cultural problem.
Okay, good. I'm glad you've.
So, Blind Freddie could see that.
Yeah.
I think that certainly that was another big thing that worried me and probably would worry coaches about coming on board to take a role on like this is that because I train hard and I've always trained. I've had to because I'm not that talented.
I feel you.
I got 138K.
You got to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's just as simple as it is.
Yeah.
You got to run to play footy. Running sucks, but you got to run. So
Well
you got to do the work.
Yeah.
And you got to put the effort in. And certainly, that's just part and parcel of playing rugby league. So it's sort of irked me a little bit in the last 2 years that, if training was hard, people weren't buying in. But I think that the start of last year and the back end of the year prior, you could feel that momentum started shifting, that people wanted to be there and wanted to train hard. And mate, we've started, pretty hard and probably set a pretty high level of football that we want to bring. It doesn't mean we're going to go well. You still got to turn up on the football field.
Well said.
Certainly the standards are swung. I went out and got a strength conditioner full time.
Nice.
Who's that, mate?
So Toddy Perenchek, he was at the Malmaninga system the last couple of years.
Yep.
Just hunted down a young fella who I thought was going to bring some culture swing. He probably helped me a lot early days too, in terms of I gave him what my pathway was and what my vision was of what I wanted at the club, but he probably helped drive, let's set the bar and let's see how they respond, how the boys respond to it. So we set the bar pretty early in the standards, what we wanted to achieve. And I think
was he was there from week 1 of pre-season?
Week 1, mate. So we kicked a bit earlier because if you're losing, you've got to train.
Yep.
So we've started a bit earlier than what probably we would have done in the past. We just started even just getting we got the boys all a gym program each. Just start get everyone moving pre-Chrissy and then we did a good 5-week block before Chrissy.
And buy-in's good.
Some good numbers too. I think
Good numbers.
Beatso's been videoing a few sessions and that and put it on your Facebook. So
Yeah. No, good numbers. You'd always want more, but certainly, at least I know the work's getting done and the right thought process is there. But certainly every session that we've had has been, to the expectations. Everything we've got something out of every session, and the boys have really turned up. Who've turned up?
I think, mate, just on that personally, I think that, and this is probably selfish from Nambour's perspective, but Nambour has really been waiting for you to retire from Q Cup, in my opinion. Like, I think Nambour's 10-year period has been good because Marty Cordwell's playing Q Cup. Like, if you had been there, and I've said it before, I think you're Nambour's best signing. Like, you don't have to agree with that, whatever. I know you're a humble bloke, but I think you're Nambour's best signing, and they've been waiting for someone like you to finally take the reins because they haven't had that coach that might not have the whole playing group or have the stature of you in the game as well. So I think finally you taking this role on, mate, it's going to make a big difference. And your signings already, like, we'll go into that in a minute, but just little things already. So, like, I'm sure Nambour weren't getting that many players last year to train in it, like, before the start of the year. So,
geez, mate, I think you're probably right a little bit, not in terms of specifically myself, but we had, because as I said earlier, like way at the start of the podcast, is so many of our junior playing group at Nambour were just so good. Like, we had a really good football group, and we probably all went away from the club to play at a high level.
Yeah.
So you probably did have
to
that
better
window,
yourselves,
and then I don't know. Like, I feel like that I was always coming back to Nambour no matter
what. What was the transition then? We probably skipped ahead a little bit here. What was the transition from the 2023? Who coached last season?
Kenny.
Okay. So, and what was the transition there from his side of things? Did he want to go around again 2024? Was it a committee decision? Was it a playing group, senior playing group decision? What was the transition for him going out and you coming in?
I think that main thing was that the club just wanted to try and see what was out there and see if what could transpire from it.
Yep.
So it wasn't like they sacked Kenny. It was more just like, let's see who's out there.
Okay.
And see what can unfold.
So obviously you weren't the first on their list by the sounds of it.
Oh no, because they did approach me a couple of years ago, to be honest. When I first finished at Falcons,
Yep.
And I said not a chance. Like I just think that one, I'm not ready, but two, I want to play and I don't want to take away from the team as a player.
Yeah.
Which I didn't. You know, as a coach, I didn't want to probably come in the way I did, but like I said earlier, I probably just thought, why not? Why not if I can get the right assistants around me?
Yeah, I think there's a lot we can go into here, and I want to probably just pick your brain on this for probably 5 minutes if we can. So your immediate response to the 2023 season, straight on to, I mean, what and you've spoken on a couple of things, but are you first looking at what's gone right, what's gone wrong, or are you going, forget about the years past, let me build a coaching staff that I know that can build a good senior footy club back at Nambour? And I think, you know, you've already touched on even the blokes you're getting. It sounds like you're probably going a lot for like the old boys, because Nambour is probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, and DK, you can probably touch on this as well. I think like Nambour old boys day is probably one of the best on the coast, right? Like you guys have got a pretty good old boys group that's around that club.
Really
so, and no disrespect to other clubs in that regard, but you guys do it pretty well from what I've seen and heard. So what's your first thought process there post 2023? Because it sounds like you've gotten to work pretty quick on the role.
Yeah.
You've tried to be pretty busy before even preseason started. So can we just dive into that in terms of, did you have a list of things of what you wanted to fix, who you wanted to bring in, what areas of improvement need to be made, and what direction you wanted the club to go in? Touch on that for me for a second.
Yeah, mate. Like I said, I took that position on, and as soon as I committed myself to that, just flicked the switch, get the job done.
Yeah.
And I knew that I could get the assistants around me. So first thing I did was create that coaching staff, and I didn't call everyone on the sunny coast. I specifically went after people. Lucky enough, they all said yes.
Because you're going to be playing too, man.
Yeah,
so you
need. So straight away, you look at what does it take to do it, and as I need to keep myself accountable as a player still, and then I also won't be able to hold the group for them all the time.
Yep.
I'll have to have someone that can help with that, which is why I went after Jamie. I've got a couple of old heads on board, as you already know from past players, who specifically went after them to help, you know, generate a bit more assistance through training sessions. So Brocky Hatton and your mate Brody Oxenham. So
Not my mate.
But Oxy's on board.
Default.
Another fellow named Stephen Bowman. He hasn't been able to come to trainers too much pre-Chrissy, but he'll be there after. You know, in the next couple of weeks, he'll be back on board with work commitments. But you know, then I went after the strength conditioner, Toddy. He was really important to me. And
That's a big dick move, I think. Having the strength and conditioning coach.
Fucking got a good strike rate.
Yeah.
You haven't missed a bloke. I can't wait to get to the signings.
No, I've missed a few players, but I didn't. Just my
Phone
coaching
hasn't
stuff, mate. Yeah. Brucey Shedden, Jimmy Stewart. So they're strappers and they've been around forever. Again, Brucey's been pretty heavily involved in the Falcons, and I just was stoked when he said he'd be back on board at the Crushers.
So two strappers. So they've gone around previously. Fuck
Yeah.
that. I tell you what, getting a good strapper, I think that's the most underrated.
Massive.
Well,
Massive.
I reckon
in any fucking senior
need
coaching.
it.
Marty's calling in a
mate.
few favours here. he's stringing all the old Q Cup boys.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
favours.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and then more recently we just going back to the Falcons through the connections there, got David Tunge on board. He's our club chaplain now, so his nickname's Chappie, and he's just a legend of a man. He's our welfare man, so he'll be on board as well. So he was at the Falcons for the last 10 years, and he said he moved on from there, and then I said, mate, come down to the Crushers, we want you. Come and do, you know, he'll give you shirt off his back to you, you know. So
what will his role be?
he's welfare.
Okay, so
player welfare.
What's that involved on a sort of weekly basis?
So he'll just be there at training, and he's just
a voice in
someone
an ear
who is impartial to the group. So he's not going to tell you how to be a better footballer. You know, he'll have his tips and tricks, I suppose, being around the footy for a long time. But I think it's so important, you know, to have that type of person there that's impartial to the group, that doesn't pick the football team or involved in operations or anything like that. It's just part of the boys. And I know strappers and things like that can be that type of person, and water runners, but certainly Chappie was someone at the Falcons when I was there that, you know, just being around and a person to speak to that's probably impartial to football from a welfare side is pretty special to have on board.
Good touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it sounds professional.
Yeah.
Really. It's just
So he's a good man.
great insight to what's going on there at the moment. So
And so from on the footy field, what are your major objectives from as a playing group? As you said before, not the best attack and defence record. So what's I mean, can you tick both of those in one season? Are you playing
It's bloody
one?
hard. Yeah. But I certainly, so the first thing, probably after that, coaching staff and locking the staff on board was to go, you know, see what players we could retain. So retention was the first thing.
Yeah.
Called every player from the year before and just wanted to express that I'm in as coach, I'm playing, but I want you at the club and need you at the club. The club needs you and we want you there. And I didn't call anyone that I didn't want at the football club. You know, I didn't just call people just for a phone call. Mind you, these days, kids, mate, they don't answer their phones. They think it's spam or fucking something.
They ignore your call and say, "Who's this?"
So it took me fucking
Please text.
4 weeks to get them. But, mate, I got
Messenger,
onto,
mate. No, TikTok. Get them on TikTok.
got onto every. So we only lost 3 players. So
If
we
you're not
lost,
following us on TikTok, by the way, sorry to interrupt there. Follow us on TikTok.
so we
Got to
lost.
get the plugs.
yeah, that's right.
So we only lost 3 players. So Sprouty, he's going back to England. Well, little brother Robbie, so he's going to be massive out for us. And then Nate Smalo, so he's going to Coolum.
Did they beat you on the dollars?
Mate,
Surely they didn't.
So we couldn't
Couldn't match it.
Couldn't match that. But he's done well for himself there, and that's fair enough.
Well, can we touch on that? And again, I'll probably just more ask from a curiosity perspective. I'm
Yeah.
not involved in the player conversations and certainly the higher level of A grade conversation, but you do hear whispers. Certainly over the last few years, it sounded as though Nambour has probably been the overpayer. Like, you know, we laugh about the Coolums now of how, like, the ridiculous money that's getting spoken about and rumoured and whatever else, whether a lot of it's true or not. But from what I'd sort of gathered the last couple of seasons, particularly, Nambour was that club. I've
Could
gone,
be. I don't.
But,
you know,
I
but
don't
as
have
Marty,
any measuring stick.
I think as Marty alluded to, mate, like he said, coaches weren't lining up to go to Nambour either.
Yeah.
Like there was, I think if Nambour had to, they had to pay. And I don't even know from previous years because I'm not sure either. As you're not probably too sure, but if they had to, man, they.
Oh, and I'm also using it as a segue, perhaps maybe from the committee conversation. And I'm probably curious to know now. I know that certainly when DK was up until this season, obviously club captain, had a lot to do with the committee. So, and probably doing a lot of those movements and sort of telling him how he wants the club to be run from a player's perspective. It was probably the player's voice, not, you know, blowing too much smoke up his ass, but based off the 2023 season, and I'm assuming you still would have had a fair bit to do with the committee prior to this season, of course. But how much do you want to be involved in that? And how much do you need to be involved in that? How much do they want you to be involved in all of those player conversations and direction of the club, direction of footy teams?
No, I think they back me 100% with everything that I throw forward. You know, the biggest thing from my perspective is I think every A grade player should be played. You know, I don't think we pay overs at all at Nambour. And I probably don't have a measuring stick. I'm not really savvy to other clubs, what they're paying too much anyway, to be honest, mate. But certainly we pay our players, and I think that it's definitely they've earned the right to be paid, and they earn the right to put their body on the line each week to get that bit of extra coin. Certainly from a committee perspective, you got to probably understand that you don't blow your budget, and you don't go outside your means. Like, you're not going to be promising things. And there's a line that probably the committee have drawn that probably I wouldn't overstep anyway, past a certain amount anyway, because I think that it's just not Nambour way. You can't buy. We're not going to buy a team. It's just not our culture or our DNA. In that regard, we're pretty. If you're pulling that jersey on, you're proud to play for that jersey. Our club has a hell of a lot of history of success over the years, not as much recently, but certainly for me, I know that history, and that's why I, probably have that DNA in my blood. That's what drives me, and I probably feel like I owe to my past generations some more success back at the club through my generation. I think my generation probably let that measuring stick down a little bit.
And you're modest about it as well. I think you're a lot of similarities between you and DK. I think this is probably why you guys maybe get along, not just being a couple of concrete boys, right? But I admire what you say. I love what you're saying in terms of you're not directly saying you owe it to the club, which I admire. You because DK is very similar. You don't sit there and say I owe it to the club to give back. But in a roundabout way, for people who don't understand exactly what you're saying, that's the dumbed down version of what you're saying. You owe it back to the club, but you don't necessarily owe the club anything. You've given the club plenty as it is. But I love that the roots, the DNA are still there, and there's something. It's just almost like this burning ambition that it's future proofing. You're looking at it, and I think I love. And the reason I was asking quizzing so much around the committee and your involvement there is because. And again, I'm only the outside perspective looking in, but it looks like maybe past years they've overplayed players who weren't the right culture fit or the right DNA, the right attitudes. I don't know what it was, but there was obviously something not clicking there. Mate, I've absolutely loved even hearing a lot of those conversations you've been talking about today, because it seems as though it's going to turn around pretty promptly. If it's not promptly, then it's not too far off. But the one thing that probably blew me away the most, and DK, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well, but just the three blokes who probably run a business, right? Where you now, I love that you saw the systems through your journey of what a footy club looks like. And it is a business. It's a business these days. We're not playing the fucking 80s anymore. And it's one thing that I think a lot of people listening can pay attention to. Hopefully there's plenty of committee members that are listening that can pay attention to this, because there's a lot of committee members, as we've spoken to in previous episodes, DK as well, that are just mums and dads. They've never run a business. They've never played high level footy as what you have. A lot of them haven't even played local A grade a lot of the time. They don't understand the dynamics of how a competition, how a club should be run. So I admire that, mate. I want to probably just take 2 seconds to say well done for that, because it's great to see. Bit of a soft spot there for Nambour for me as well. I've got a business in Nambour, but also obviously Brody's in there as well. But mate, I love to hear that. That was probably the biggest takeaway for me. DK, any comments on that in that regard before we keep pressing on with a few extra questions?
I just think having a local clubman back there, mate. It's just it's simple as that for me. Yeah. I've thought it the whole way through. I think that was the only option that Nambour needed to go. I will touch on, but Nambour's still doing beers after the games.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to give a massive shout out to Nambour. They are that club that still puts free piss on for all the opposed teams. Take note, other fucking clubs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Nambour's killing it in that role.
I did a session there because we had the split A grade reserve grade. I did a game there when I think the Nambour A grade was playing against Cleander or something. So I was sitting in the all our Reggie's boys went to go watch you guys play. And I'm like, nah, I'm drinking the free piss.
Mate, I leave the sheds and go, boys, get in there because it's great. Like I'll walk in and see Marty's like, yep, get into it, lads.
I was in there with the Wardies. There was a fucking jug on every fucking table inside.
It's good, mate.
It was unreal. Drinking with the Wardies and whatever. But mate, we'll wrap it up in a few more minutes. Couple more things we want to touch on, of course. First and foremost, we love talking about player. You've mentioned a couple of I don't know if we spoke about that off air, but a couple of maybe re-signings from last season you want to shout out?
Yeah, so we re-signed every player bar three. Really, really stoked with that and having them back on board. New signings is what you wanted to lead to.
Yeah, go for it.
So Jaden Zanchetta was someone that I've been chasing for probably 3 years to get on board at the club. He's a winner. He won the Colts grand final in the halves there in 2019, sorry. I probably was in his ear since then to come to Nambour because I knew I was going back to the club and getting on board post-COVID. He stuck loyal to the boys at Kiwana, which is, well and truly good on him. But I left that car alone. As soon as he finished up halfway through last year, straight back onto him. Come to Nambour next year, mate. Let's win some footy games and enjoy your footy. I know he's a winner and he's just a competitor, and I think he's going to be unreal for our club having that half there. We probably have missed a half like him, and it's probably something that's going to be pretty important to our footy team to have him on board. So he'll be really good, mate. He's a really big signing for us.
Great
this year,
huge one, I reckon.
Massive, mate.
Since Oaks, he's obviously not there anymore as well.
Yeah, and losing Oaks is tough. Really tough for the group. So it would have been good to have him for another couple of years, but yeah, he's working away and getting plenty of other stuff done. So, but yeah, so Jay-Z will be massive. Another real big signing that we got, which you didn't allude to. I spoke to you on the phone.
I didn't want it.
No. So we've locked him in. He's the most capped player in Q Cup history in Phil Dennis. So he's a massive in for us. Not only just his football ability and just the way he can control a football game, he brings a lot of other people with him as well.
Is that an exclusive drop on the
That's an exclusive drop, mate. So we haven't dropped that online yet.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so he's a
That's a big one, eh?
He's a good manager and player, just manages games. And don't run straight at him either because he will fold you. He's just a brick. So
well, he's not playing reserve, Grace. No, look at this fucker.
I think he's talking to listeners. He's looking at me, but
yeah, I've played a lot of footy against him, and I've played my first Q Cup game with him. It just sort of got wind that he was out at Toowoomba and driving from Brizzy, and I just give him touch base with him through Brad Beetson, he's our manager. It's massive to have him on board as well, Beto. So, but yeah, he nailed Phil for us, and he's got a lot of mates and a lot of cousins and nephews, and
great signing for the young fellas too.
Yeah, and they just a real good leader. So he hasn't done too much training the old fella. But
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
He'll be
rest of the legs,
is he 40?
Oh, I think he's 40 this year.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got to get a medical clearance, but we'll probably see how he goes. So between me and him, we've got the oldest team in the comp. The rest of the boys are 22, 23. But between me and
the average age is sitting about 32, but everyone's 20. And
look, I know that you probably didn't give him too much of a rap, but the young Pommy, Taylor Highland, he's going to be massive for us again. So he played 5'8" in centres last year. He probably didn't do any pre-season. He come back from Thailand or something like that, straight in round one. And
I think it was in Matty's merit set, was it? Was it not?
Martin got in there.
Mate, I think it was hard to give him a rap because of the way Nambour finished the year. It was so hard to find the positives out of Nambour at the back end of the year.
So he's going to be really good for us again next year. So those three are probably the key sort of signings, and he's probably the key returning. But the Scott brothers, coming back on board again. So Lucas Scott got Player of the Year last year for us. And I think that he might have give Lucas Bell a rap for that. So.
That was another Damo thing.
Fucking Damo again.
Fuck, well, sorry we've left you till fucking third last or whatever. And
but that's
a few Nambour, the Nambour chat. Imagine the Nambour group chat going on when we hammer.
Mate, we're locals, but we're local Nambour boys.
To be honest, mate, that first podcast was the best thing ever for my pre-season because.
I got them fired up.
They just come to train and you just fucking listen to that. And I just thought
we got them listening.
We got to, you've got to put the work in here. You can't just talk about it, but certainly it motivated the field.
Well, I was getting a few comments. I was getting a few comments from Oxy about it. He was saying that, mate, the group chat is blowing up about you boys. I'm like. Well, I say to DK, like, leave Marty till New Year just to fucking keep these boys fired up.
It was fair too.
He's as honest as days old. Yeah. Anyway, he would have told them, boys, fucking, well, what do you reckon? You're good, were you?
But I think that what I was sort of getting at was those, these boys have probably been sort of punched into a corner where they need to either fight out or, find their way out of it now. So I think they're ready for it.
Yeah.
I think they're ready to step up now. And, we probably, again, depth was a big thing. So for us last year. So that's why we needed to go out and attract those couple of extra players.
You have 19s last year?
Nah, so 19s ended up merging with Coolum, I believe, and this year we're probably not looking too strong either. But you just don't know who's going to turn up between now and April 6. But
obviously, big. I'm assuming a big thing on your list eventually is to get a solid, pretty big base here, Nambour.
Mate, it's massive. So we've already started networks with our junior. We're really good with our junior club, and we've got we've got our own academy pathway program now. We've just started this year that that Stuart McKenzie and Leaf have put in place, the presidents down there, and they've gone to try and find a way to better the football through Nambour, better the coach the coaches as well, not just players. So it's it's probably something that the next couple of years we probably won't have that real strong 19s, but I think that in the next 5 years we will, because we'll have that pathway for them. Certainly it's something that we want to be really focused and conscious of growing, because, we've been able to pull from our juniors. Like right now we've probably got a really good ex-junior base, but you do have patches where you can't always rely on the new people, next man up sort of mentality.
So were you able to pull any 19s back from Coolum from last season?
No, I don't know fully on the numbers yet with the 19s, because none of them have come to training. I think we've had one young fella come and a couple here and there, but certainly haven't had too much yet. But I know that over the next few weeks, normally they start coming out of the box, or woodworks, I suppose, in that regard. But
and reserve grade, how's your reserve grade numbers looking?
Look, mate, really good. So having that depth obviously is a big thing. So these young fellas are ready to really kick out and have a good couple of years, I reckon. And I think having that extra depth will naturally strengthen our reserve grade.
Few bright lights in the reserve grade side, probably just a few smaller bodies I think that maybe need to develop. I don't know, just sort of remembering back to those Nambour games. But
who's the coach reserve grade?
So Lionel McDonald. So you probably know his name. He's coached Caboolture when they're in the grand final. He was up at Gympie last year, Reggie's. So he approached the club. Already locked in, and then I said, would you be interested in reserve grade? He said, yeah, mate, I'm in. So he's really good to have on board, and a lot of experience.
So you'll have a pretty good connection with him, I assume. Like that'll be good for you to, keep those lines open between reserve grade and A grade.
We'll train as a unit, as a club, now anyway, until probably till after trials. We've got 3 trials locked in. The 9s doesn't count as one, but the 9s and then 2 other trials. Just against Across the Waves up at Bundy. And
going up there?
Yeah, going up there for the boys. A bit of a culture one. And,
nice.
And then we'll have a home one against the Swannies just down here on the 23rd of March. So that'd be, really good for
we got a season kickoff date yet? Out of curiosity?
April 6th.
April 6th, okay.
Well, I think they're waiting for Woodford, obviously, to get the nod.
Yeah.
So we'll get that coming soon, I reckon. Feel that the draw, hopefully a bit of a prelim draw coming out.
Though, eh?
I think they're trialling a few draws with and without Woodford. No, I'm waiting for their approval. So
right, usually pretty late anyway from memory. The draw, it's usually
it's pain in the ass. Wish they fucking could get it out there.
Yeah, I think it's the wives and girlfriends that want it more than anyone else.
Yeah, well, I was that's why it was hard to try and lock down your trials until we knew a bit more about it. So as soon as that April 6th was the tentative one, we just locked in with Swannies and. Bardo jumped on it straight away.
Swannies would be a good trial, man. The way they've signed would be nice to just. You going to play a trial game?
Don't know yet. I will. I just got to get my body right.
Yeah, right.
I'm training hard, but I just don't want to go out there and fall apart. So
how you feeling? All right.
Feeling good.
Yep.
Feeling really fit. Toddy's given us a fair measuring stick at training. He's really, the professionalism there is just massive. We're doing 1.2 time trials and we're doing everything. Same as Falcon. So
good.
And that's probably a lot of my coaching knowledge base has come from how I've trained and played.
Simple but professional.
Yeah, and it's you don't have to reinvent the wheel in footy, but certainly we probably just need to strengthen both attack and defence. But you can't fix it all at once. But keeping the footy off the deck, making your tackles and just effort areas made to be a big thing for me. So how to push yourself and find a way, steel yourself up a bit, find a way to more Nambour jerseys in the picture, all the one line,
all the cliches,
but certainly,
but it fucking works.
That's what wins footy games.
Any bright lights of maybe not this season or next season that you think to keep an eye out for young fellas coming through that are worth giving a shout out for?
Certainly, we've got a couple of 19s boys in the system down there. We've got Finney Lawson. He's a Nambour junior. Yeah. He made the Australian rugby union team, schoolboys and all that. But he's certainly, he's going to be somewhere. He's a fullback. He probably can play halves. He's pretty talented, but he could go anywhere in football with his footy, depending on whether it's junior in the league. Not sure yet.
Was he a one, say, like losing Nate? Was he one you kind of touted? Well, we have got this good kid coming through who's going to be
I think that he has every ambition for that.
Yep.
We'll see where his footy goes once he finishes his Sunny Coast stint. probably haven't. He's been involved in the conversations at the football club. He's definitely at Nambour, but certainly we won't know where he could end up anywhere though. If he's got that level
good
with
talent.
him. So we'll see what happens with him. But Riley Jervis is another real good tough kid, and Zali Hodges, they're down at the Falcons there, and they're both coming through, and their middles, they'll be really, they'll be a pivotal part of Nambour. They played a bit of A grade the last couple of years, mind you.
Yeah, right.
So they're only 18, 17 playing A grade. So they'll be, they'll be ready for that and sort of hardened a little bit into their Malmaninga season this year and see how they go when they get back from that, what our depth is and where our numbers are.
How's Big Miles Gal travelling?
Mate, he's coming off the back fence. So cheers, boys, for that. Damo, he's gonna just go for him, I reckon.
I remember on the wing like Meads, he used to fucking defend out there, I think.
So he's going good, Miles. He's going really good.
He'll enjoy having yourself back, mate. He's a bit of a lone wolf out there at the back end.
He's a big man.
He's a lump, man.
Yeah, so he's going real good.
Yeah.
You can't knock any of the boys really at training pre-season. I think that we've gone out and got a couple of pommies again. Fella named Owen Bowie, he was played at Miles last year. Got player of the comp out there and made the Outback Queensland team, and that is a tough lad. Pommy.
We won't knock any of them because we've been knocking a few of them.
There's another middle.
But you're not wrong with the pommies.
Do you agree?
It is. They either
maybe that's just as a
I don't know
Australian like forward thing how we just go, no, we're better than you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know what it is, but I don't think I think there's only been one pommy that's cracked it at Q Cup levels. They all come over, but I'm sure there's been other clubs, and I think there's a couple of Northern Pride boys and stuff that are pretty tough pommies. But you're right. They've either got it or they don't. But I suppose that's anyone. But they take a risk and come over and rip in. And these boys have been really good. So we've been really lucky with our pommy connection there. Taylor and Liam Aspen last year, he's done his knee, so he's out for the year. But he's going to help coach as well. But he was, they're both just really bought into the club. And then we've got a Frenchman this year too from Albi, so he'll be coming over, and he's a winger centre. So he says he's a centre, but he's a winger, obviously, because that's what normally happens.
If you're throwing winger into the conversation, you're an out-and-out winger. So I want to play centre.
But I think he's actually, I've watched him play in the centre for Albi the last couple of weeks, so he's going all right there. But he'll be good to have on board, Big Hugo. So.
I love the no bullshit, It's one of his.
It reminded me of you when you fucking bullshitted a couple of episodes when you went to Valley saying, oh, yeah, mate, big A-grade superstar. You're a fucking winger. Or you're playing fly half at Div 3 Caboolture Union or something, you fucking idiot.
Wait, I attacked the host, mate. I've gone easy on you today.
It's been good. What was the... Fuck, I've nearly lost my train of thought. I had a bit of a giggle there. Actually, I want to pick your brain on Jay-Z a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's a great sign. I think he's going to be good for you boys. How's he around the group? What's he like at training? Is he taking on board that he's going to be the man this year? Because he will be.
Yeah.
And is he happy to push you around?
Yeah, mate, he'll be the boss with that, I reckon. At the end of the day, my minutes will probably depend on how my body's holding up. But
so hopefully limited for other sides. Thanks.
Well, I just get too bloody competitive, mate. By the time I get on and rip in, I'll be right. But see how that goes.
We can't get you off the field when you're running water. Alfie at the back here. He's fucking running the side at the back here.
Certainly I'll see how it goes. But when you're on the field, you're 100% or you're out. But going back to Jay-Z, mate, he's just been another whole level above what we probably, what the boys would expect to have at, football training. He's just been massive. He hasn't held back in his communication and his chat. He's just, I think like I said earlier, he's a winner. Everything he does, he's competitive on. Maybe I don't know why Falcons didn't see that in him. Maybe just unlucky that there was a lot of halves probably in the Falcons squad at that time.
I think it's one for Kawana as well, man. I don't
understand that.
I don't think Kawana lose too many good players to other clubs. But
they had a lot of Righty there and Jacko and that, so they're probably going all right with their depths and stuff. And obviously Righty's gone there now, but certainly I wouldn't have wanted to have lost him.
I was real surprised. So obviously seeing him come over to Nambour and thinking maybe there is a few clubs, I suppose, fucking offering a good pathway and saying the right things to a few boys there that aren't getting.
Well, no 21s, and that was a big motivator for me too around that time is to offer an opportunity for people to come and be professional as you can be. You know, at the end of the day, we're still going to be a club where people can come and play a game or train and get on the piss straight after the game. That's just the Nambour way in terms of you know, having that open door policy to those people. Like, it's still going to be the people that come in and just want to play footy. That's sweet. But certainly one thing that I wanted to do was offer an opportunity for 20-year-olds. You don't have to move to Brizzy. If you want to develop yourself, come to Nambour and we'll give that to you. And we'll find a way to better your footy.
100%.
And that's what I think, it's a bit of an obligation, I think, for every local league team to have that same mentality. And I reckon that everyone's already sort of got that. And you could feel it. And just listen to the other podcasts and, you know, talking to yourself, talking to Barty, like, you know that that's what everyone's sort of thinking, but it's probably even more of an opportunity now that there's no 21s, that we probably got to find a way to lift our standard. That lifts the whole competition standard. Well said. And lifts everyone's standard.
I think Woodford's going to, obviously Woodford coming back into the comp, and every other club looking to push their standard of football, looking to push their level of where their club's at as well. It's a massive thing to even get back in the comp. I know Gympie's out at the moment. I don't know how they could be out for a long time because there's such a big way to get back, and with every club trying to push a higher standard. And even when they get their Falcons back, you want your club training well. You want these Falcons boys walking into a system where they enjoy it. Like,
just integrate straight into
exactly. They don't want to go, fuck, this is shit. Like, what are we doing? You know, even your reserve grade. I want to see the reserve grade flourishing as well. And that way they're not just, I suppose, they're not just fucking young fellas anymore playing reserve grade. It's like it's an actual trial.
The way I see a reserve grade, I talk about this a fair bit. I'm a pretty passionate reserve grade footy player, mainly because I see reserve grade as the reserves to A grade. There should be boys who should be pushing to play A grade regularly, and they should be playing a high level of footy to be able to keep pushing that case. But yeah, I love what you're saying here, mate. I think it's great, and I think the coast is growing. The coast probably hasn't had the spotlight it should have had for the last couple of years. But I think there's a lot of people coming in now, a lot of people coming up from down south, of course. So I think it's only going to get better from here. And I think having blokes like you around more often and having those systems in place and professionalism, and I guess talking about not to give up, blow smoke up our ass, but pulling back the curtain on a lot of these things. I think there's a lot of people. Nambour's been very quiet over the last few months, but
on purpose.
On purpose. You can see it now. Yeah.
Well, we just had to get our job done, and that was something that was probably pretty important. And at the end of the day, it means nothing until we play footy anyway. Yeah,
that's what I love.
The work's going to be there, and you just got to get the job done.
Look after your own camp first, though.
Yeah.
One more question before we wrap it up. We better keep this show on the road. Mate, obviously the change of tune a little bit, but coming back to Silly Sunday, Mad Monday, any shout-outs to best on ground, worst on ground? I'm asking you worst on ground because previous guests don't want to talk about worst on ground because I think they're going to fucking stitch themselves up. So I reckon based off what you've said so far, you'll probably throw a few blokes under the bus here.
We'll see. I just I missed out on last year.
Fair enough. Yeah,
getting injured, so I don't have any stories or any best on grounds or worst on grounds. So I'm a bit boring there for you.
Sure, it is.
But I reckon you've been to some of the best Mad Mondays, being with those
We've
Q
had some
Cup
belters, mate.
So give people an insight on at Q Cup. Do you ever get the NRL players coming back from Mad Monday?
They fly them in for Mad Monday,
and they fly them out just a bit too. So they let them have a beer and then they get them straight out. But just it depends where the Storm and that are in their system. So some years we would, we've just lost a major semi, or the GF year they let them have a beer when we lost to Papua New Guinea, but they didn't let them party on with us. But certainly they get them out pretty quick when they know that Mad Monday's on, obviously.
The Sunshine Coast Daily hasn't got the resources that the fucking Daily Telegraph has. No one's following around with cameras.
That's it.
Well, they might be. I don't know.
But I think for a scoop. Main thing is because Melbourne Storm's been so successful the last same period, so they need them back for training. So they call them the Renegades. Like every club's got what's your reserve grade, so they bring the Renegade club back down to train against the NRL team, so they got to have them fit for that. But certainly, there's certainly been some good parties, that's for sure.
Is the social element going to be a big thing on your agenda for Nambour? I think obviously having a relatively, and lack of better expression here, but like a losing mentality to a degree for the last few years is certainly, we spoke about this to Jacko at Kawana. I think our new Chris coming in, I think it was a big focus on the social element as well. Is that a big part of your coaching?
Oh, look, mate. I think you've got to stop them some here.
Yeah.
So Nambour has been we're a tight group. Just everyone, and every football team should be. But bloody hell, when you're in that culture, in that group, everyone